Alrighty, are we all good? Good to start? Welcome in, everybody. Thank you. I will kind of go over a little bit of what this is and how it relates to this here, what I just played. This tuning here is called kite tuning layout. It's a 41 note per octave layout. And I'm going to show some demos with some code that free software licensed under GNU general public license that you all can download and mess with on your own time. So that is Zenodoji. This is my Python creation. If you guys don't know Python, you don't have to understand everything. It's just kind of showing you what is possible, and then I'll play some music to go with it so you'll hear sounds with. I'm kind of showing you where the sounds come from, and if you don't quite understand it all, that's okay. So 12th Edo cannot accurately match the harmonics. It is also just one of other Edos. MIDI is easy to get notes in 12th Edo and difficult to get other notes out. The purpose of Zenodoji is to make the harmonic series and other tunings easy to explore. The name comes from 3 words of microtonality. Zen for Zen harmonic, Edo for equal division of the octave, JI for just intonation. So microtonality means, you know, there's 12 possible notes. Well, actually, that's not true. And when you play a single note, out comes a harmonic series of a different tuning system. And so when we can access the harmonic series, we can play more notes. This is microtonal. That's what that means. Here is a link. And then I'm using Surge. This is Surge. What makes Surge cool is it's free software, licensed under GNU General Public License. Also, everything I'm doing here is on a GNU Linux laptop. I use GNU Linux because it's the greatest operating system of all time. So this is the Python shell here, which I'm going to fire that up. Alrighty, so I demonstrated here this step over here. Once you get into the Python shell, this basically imports a bunch of cool literals that I use as literals that I will show you kind of what I'm talking about. I'll go skip down to where is it? I'll find it later. It's somewhere in there. So now for making music. Make sure you select your Zenith port, MIDI port, and then it's ready to send to Surge. So what I'm demonstrating here is you can actually play a harmonic as a number. You can throw in the number and then it plays it out, does the MIDI calculation and throws it into Surge. So this here, if you see the workflow, once you have on the Python shell, if you're not familiar, it gives you the arrows when it's ready for you to type something. And then when there aren't the arrows, it's responding. See how that works? So then when I have this, it kind of shows you basically the workflow of putting that into there. Let's hear another minor triad. So we heard 10, 12, 15. And then what you'll notice is that when you show the prime factors, the highest prime factor is 5, right? And the highest prime factor is 5 of 4, 5, 6 from the harmonic series. But we can get another minor triad from 7. Nice. So then I played harmonics 1 through 15 all at one time, and you notice it sounded like a single note. So what I can do, change the tempo. So this shows you basically for each note how fast to go, and then this plays it melodically. Great. So now let's check out some different minor thirds. Highest prime is 3. Highest prime is 5. Highest prime is 7. Highest prime is 11. Highest prime is 13. Highest prime is 17. And the highest prime is 19. So when you try to do this in 12 Edo, all those are the same. There's only one minor third. And that is the benefit of doing this because these notes are historically important. When I say historically, I mean thousands of years. People have been playing these notes, whereas 12ito is a much more recent tradition and technology. 12ito is great technology. It's just what's beneficial is when you can translate between harmonic series and then go back to an ito. And also, we don't have to use 12ito. We can use other itos. This is why I kind of created this, because I'm like, why can't we just play a harmonic easily on our computer and do it in real time? There's some tools available that are browser-based where you can hear these things, but I wanted real-time performance. This here is using this code to make the sound. You press a note here, it sends MIDI over to Surge. And also, you can send it to other devices, other keyboards, for instance, that accepts that MIDI signal. Yeah, that's a good question about how's it work doing it through MIDI. So through MIDI, it's super easy to send notes of 12ito. If you want something else, it's not super easy and not all keyboards will support this. So you can use the pitch bend messages on different channels. And this also is MPE uses this method where it doesn't use the channel 0 and it uses the ones after it. At least that's how I have it set up, part of the MPE specification. And so it calculates whether it's cents or hertz, you want to be able to translate between them frequency ratios or an ito. And I'm kind of demonstrating this as I go along here. And then whatever note you want, whatever way you're thinking about it, you have a way to send it out to a device to play it. This was what I was looking for earlier. So in normal Python, it doesn't, when you just give it a number, it doesn't keep track of the factors of, it doesn't keep track of the rational ratio, the numerator and denominator by default. And this turns out to be extremely handy for music to do just that, to take a ratio. So what I did was I defined about 1,000, I don't remember exactly, variables. So like this, it represents 5, and then you can do awesome calculations, and it keeps track of it. Because when you see rational numbers described like this, that's not very helpful. Now, the backslash operator. So in 12ito, or any ito, we can ascribe steps over the ito with a backslash. This is a standard of microtonal music. To use, what I used in Python was the double forward slash to mean backslash. So 4 steps of 12 ito, it's 400 cents. Now, so earlier I was using rational ratios. Here I'm going to use the itos. So I can show this. Now, comparing those thirds from the same bass note, I put them all in here, and then I added at the end, oh no, wait, that's later that I do that. Let's compare the thirds here from the same note. sorry, that's later. I do it from the same bass note. Here, what I'm going to do is some cool, real quick. Go into Surge. Let's see here. And I am going to turn up the reverb. Let me see here if this works. Oh, that is working. That's not working. Alrighty. I was doing some other things at the same time, trying to figure out why something wasn't working. And anyway, maybe I'll figure that out later. Moving on. So this is real cool over here. This kind of shows you basically what I was talking about. 7 steps of 12 Ito, 700 cents. It returns 700 cents. Take 700 times C. So I define C as 1 cent. This is what I mean when I say from literals, import star. It does a bunch of handy variables for the good workflow. Now, you take a pitch. A4 is defined from literals. Then you say times 7 halves or plus 7 half steps of 12 Ito. Then it says the pitch. You see you get nice looking 12 Ito pitch numbers here. Then this is 3 ways to say the same thing, right? This is of 12 Ito. This is of 1200 Ito because 1 half step is 100 cents, right? So that's what the translation between cents and 12 Ito. Then you want to multiply that by a frequency ratio, like 3/2. You say times 2 to the power of 7/12. I should have removed these backslashes. Sorry about that. But in Python, 2 to the power is 2 stars. Then also 12 Ito. See here, when we go by 3/2, now there's something different. Now we're adding 2 cents. So, see, moving on here. Here, I take the thirds from the same reference pitch, and then now I've added the minor third of 12 Ito, which is 3 half steps of 12. Nice. So a bunch of different minor thirds over there. Now, let's say we want to play the harmonic series in an Edo. So what I did here was I said, these are the closest Edo steps of 12 Edo. So this is, you go to your piano and you say, I want to play the harmonics, the harmonic series. I'm going to play it on the piano, go into the closest notes. And this is going to do that. Forgot my initial, this. Yep, Okay, so you can see when you put it in, everything is a multiple of 100 cents. Oh, I did this, did I do, what did I do? Hold on. Oh, I missed it over here now. There. Okay, now I'm going to play that later. I'm going to compare that with a couple other Edos. Now you can see a good way to kind of work with the numbers and get something else. So 72 Edo is an awesome Edo. You take a half step and divide it into 6 parts. And what that does is you can actually get these notes pretty accurately from that. So what I did was I said, the Edo steps from before, multiply it all by 6. And then you look through, and this is an easy way to read it. Then you say, okay, this one's the same. Harmonic 5, that one should be a little flat. So we're gonna go down 1 Edo step of 72. Harmonic 7 is 2 Edo steps. Harmonic 10 is 2 times 5, so it's also -1. 11 is 3. 13 is 4. 14 is 2 times 7, so you see those are the same. 15 is 3 times 5, and since we didn't make a difference in 3, we're going to use the same number from 5. So you see 5, 10, 15 are all -1. Once again, I forgot my opening bracket there. Okay, now what about synths? So I showed 12, I showed 72, and now I'm gonna do synths. So here what I did is I just know the synths, and I typed it in basically for the harmonic series what the synths are. And the underscore means whatever was the line before. When I say 3 different ways to say the same thing, so you can go times synths, you can say backslash of 1200, or you can say 2 to the power of the Edo step /. That's the translation between the two, and I demonstrated that here. Since ratio, this translates to a ratio, and this is the backslash operator. Let's hear these. Okay. A little faster. Okay, the last two sound pretty much the same. They're so much closer than 12-ito, and these are benefits of using things outside of 12-ito, is that you can play the harmonic series. It's pretty wild, but like, yeah, does this seem complicated? How do we make it simpler? Well, if we ignore the ito, then we're doing the same thing like that. Let's listen to some music. So here what I did, this is a score, 4 parts. So this is your like low part, this is your high part, and you can play in frequency ratios. And also the reason I did this is I didn't have any idea how to do this with existing technology. And I'm like, this should be a thing. That's why I made this. Set your reference pitch right here. Set your tempo right here. Let's hear another one. Nice. This one is super cool because it starts and ends on the same pitch, sort of. You look here versus here, 160/81, which is, you know, very close to 160/80. So there, what I did was through each of the chords using common tones, I changed by 81/80. This is an old comma called syntonic comma. It's the difference between 5 and 3. Okay, so what about playing this on instruments? So you can take a guitar and detune its open strings. Let's listen to what that sounds like. This is the demo I played at the beginning. So I used the harmonics are this. So it sounds pretty cool. Guitar doesn't normally sound like this, and that's because normally we ignore the harmonic 5, and we actually use 12-ito, which is in between. Harmonic 5 is flat, harmonic 3 is sharp, and 12-ito is in between. And this is what is meant by tempering the difference between the two, which is from harmonic 81 and harmonic 80. 80, the highest prime is 5. 81, the highest prime is 3. So what it does is it puts them in the same context. But if you can go to 80, that reduces all the way down to 5. And it's simpler, not in its prime number, but in how big the number is. Because 81, the highest prime factor is 3. So simpler prime, but much bigger number. Here, what I did, this function called XF, that's my fancy name for interpret the thing. this is the microtonal language. This is the it says get it to some Python object that we can work with. So notice, I divided by 4. So that means go down by 2 octaves because it's the same as dividing by 2 and dividing by 2. Now, let's hear these together. Alrighty. Now, what about, that's kind of harmonics of an open string. What about frets? So this is where you can get a microtonal guitar with a different fretboard, and I'm going to show an example of that. Or I'm actually going to play first and then show you give the kite guitar audio. So here's another score here. Sorry, I had the reverb up, so you couldn't quite hear it. Okay. All right, from what I demonstrated earlier with the backslash and forward slash, now we get some context here. So this is the layout of kite guitar, and what it gives us are other thirds. Instead of just major minor, we get 7 flavors. And you can see the translation. So the backslash you see is over 41 for all of these notes. On a string, you go up a fret, you go up 2 steps of 41. So these are the evens, these are the odds. So you get each note from going between the two because they alternate. That is what I have right here. This is the same chart in 2 different ways. All right, so I'm getting short on time here. I would love to go for longer, but so I'm going to kind of breeze through some things here. So you can also take a piano and actually tune the strings harmonically. And this is something I did and had a lot of fun with. And then when I wanted access to something more portable than a real piano, it sounds great, but you can't move it, you know? So a keyboard. So what I did with this demo I have audio of is I took from one keyboard into the MIDI interface, my code retunes it, and then it goes out to another keyboard, which takes it in and is generating the audio. So here's the notes here. So you see, I use prime 5. So here, highest prime is 5 under. That's what green means, and that's what this label means. Highest prime is 5 over. That's what yellow means. And then I wrote some music using a similar ratio. I wish I could get into this right now. So much fun, but I can't. Generally, what it does is it takes a comma, 225 over 224, and tempers it out, so you get the simpler from 75 over 64. That now becomes 7 over 6. You can see the math here. You just say, hey, that's close to this other note, and it makes the ratio smaller. So here's a chart here, which shows now we got 7 limit from 5 limit. We took 25, and we turned it into 7. You can see 25, which is 5 times 5. That over 16, okay? Then we translate to 14 over 9. So now it is 7 limit. Here's a chord chart. You can see frequency ratios. Note names up and down is, you know, one step of an Edo, like 72 or 41. Here's the chord names. Let's listen to it. All right, thank you a bunch. So I have my performance schedule here. I am playing with Mindparade in 11 hours at Neurolux, 1 a.m. And so, yeah, that's this show. That's that show. And then we're also playing at Ken on Sunday at 6:20. Yes. Briefly, yeah. How much time? Real, no, basically, real. Yeah, go ahead. I'll go until I get cut off. Great question. Here. For documentation, go on this website just to kind of read and use the code examples. Oh, right, because this is local, because I didn't connect to the Wi-Fi. The website is gnulinux.love. No, that was from, I thought I was going to use that URL, so then I put my folder as that, so I don't have that URL. It's way cooler, gnulinux.love. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm actually very happy that I got that URL because it's super cool. All right, I guess that's it. Yeah, thank you so much.